All right, so what I was saying was on your test on Friday, if you think you might want to do test corrections, what do you have to do at least one day this week? Come to zero, period. Because we're going to look over your last test and we're going to see what went wrong. So if that's what you want to do, then you have to come either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. 3 days left. Okay? If you don't come, are you going to be allowed to do test corrections? No. So, keep that in mind. Okay, the reason I'm letting you memorize law of cosines is because this is the formula. Ready? Write this down. Write this down. Write this down. Aren't you thankful I'm not making you memorize this? Write it down. That's the law of cosines. So if you typed in law of cosines on Google, what would pop up is this. Okay, so let me tell you about the different parts of this law right here. Doesn't that look like something familiar? Yeah, and so when we use Pythagorean theorem, what are you always plugging in for A, B, or C? Sides or angles? Sides. So all of these right here, A, B, and C, those are always going to be sides. You'll only plug in an angle to this right here. So A, B, and C, lowercase a, b, and c, and even these two lowercase b and c right here, those are always going to be sides. The only angle you'll ever plug in only goes right here. Okay? In law of sines, how many pairs did you have? You had 2. In law of cosines, you only have 1. Okay? And your pairs will always go on the outsides. So your one pair that you have will go in front and behind. Okay, now on your test, you should thank me because I'm going to tell you when to use which sign, or when to use which law. That's when it gets hard. When do I know to use law of sines or cosines? On your test, I'm going to tell you. It's going to say, use law of sines. Use law of cosines. Okay, so the only reason I want you to know this right here is if you ever have it on the ACT. If you get to this on the ACT, they won't tell you. So you always use law of cosines if you have side, 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 or side, angle, side. Those are the 2 cases when you use law of cosines. Okay, so best way to learn this is just to practice it. So on number 1, go ahead and circle your angle. Go circle your angle. What pair goes with 28? What side goes with 28? X. So draw an arrow. So that's your pair. X and 28 are your one pair for this problem. So what goes in front? Side or angle? What goes in front? Side. What goes behind? Angle. So that's exactly how you plug it in. So this X is the one that's going with 28, so those have to go on the outsides. So your X is going to take place of your A, and then the other 2 sides don't matter. Does not matter. So let's call 9B and 11C. That order does not matter. All right, so let's plug these in. Instead of writing, I'm going to rewrite my formula right here so you can see it. Instead of writing A, what letter am I going to write? X. So X squared equals, what are we writing for B? 9 squared. What's for C? So I'm literally just plugging these in. And then when I get to the cosine, my angle that goes with the pair of X is 28. So your angle goes here. Some of you might want to do this on a separate sheet of paper if you don't like your stuff getting mixed up. Okay, when we use Pythagorean theorem and we're solving for x, how do we break that square? What do? Don't divide. What do you do to break a square? Don't subtract. Square root, right? And if I'm wanting to solve for this x, all I have to do is take the square root of both sides. So take the square root of your x squared and the square root of this whole side. Now I have good news. You can plug all of this in your calculator at one time. But you have to be super careful. So let's do it together. Get a calculator. Everybody get a calculator. Alright, so first thing we need to do is open what? Open the square root. So open your square root. Leave the parentheses open because all of this is going into it. Carson, do you have a real calculator? Go get a real calculator. Okay, what comes next? We have 9 squared. So 9 squared plus, everybody plug this into your calculator. 11 squared. I'm going to come around and make sure you have it on your calculator, so everybody do it. Minus 2 times 9 times 11 cosine of 28. Uh-oh, what'd I do? Is that what you got? I want to see it on your calculator. Huh? Cosine. Yeah, that one's a hard one. Did you figure it out on that calculator? It's hard to do it on that calculator. I'll just do it on your calculator. You have to press 28, then cosine. That's negative.
You already said you got it.
Let me see. Let me see, Jake. I'm going to make y'all stand up if you can't keep your head up. Alright, go to the next one. Circle your angle and point it to the side. Circle your angle and point it to the side that it goes with. Try to set it up. So on this one, yeah, you're going to have to do first 28 cosine and then multiply it by everything and then do second square root second answer. That's why I don't really like those calculators, but people keep stealing my other ones, so that's all y'all get. Okay, if you circle your angle, on test day you need to make sure to have a calculator you know how to use. So you circle your angle, and it goes with what side? It goes with X. So this is going to be your A. Does it matter what the other two sides are? No. Does not matter. B, C. Okay, where everybody's doing number 2 with me. So when you set it up, you're going to have X squared equals 15 squared plus 19 squared. Write this down. 2b c cosine of what? 125. Now, this is a good case, right? We like this one because all we have to do is plug it in our calculator. What's the one step I have to take? Take the what?
Square root.
Take the square root. Thank you, Jake. Take the square root. So plug all of this in your calculator. plug all of that in your calculator. No. Plug in your calculator. I'll tell you if it's right or not based on what you have in your calculator. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Good. 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 We're doing good. Try the next. Oh, yep, good. Good job. I don't think that's what I got. Let me see how you plug this in. Where do you get 25 from? It's supposed to be 15 and 19, but yeah, that's what happened. Let me see. I know. Jojo, you gotta get your calculator and how to use. Good job. Bella, Teresa, tell me the answers. What'd you get? Good. What'd you get? Good. Okay, let's move on to the one other scenario. This is the last thing you have to learn that's going to be on your test. Okay? This is the last thing. Ready? The only difference is, put your phones down, please. The only difference is you are finding a side here. Now you're finding an angle. So we're still going to have one pair. So I'm still going to circle my angle and point it to the side that it goes with. Because that pair still has to be on the side. But now on the outsides. But our side goes in front and our angle is going to be what? In the back. And what's it going to be called? X. Because that's what we're solving for, right? Okay, so in this case now 1.9 is going to be your A. The other two do not matter. B, C. Okay, so when we're setting this up, you're going to now have 1.9 squared equals 1.3 squared plus 2.1 squared minus 2 times B times C cosine of X. Okay, now, I wish that you could just plug this in your calculator all at once and be done. But you can't. And I want you to watch. This is where you're going to, if you're going to mess up, this is where you would mess up at. So watch. You have to do this in 3 different sections. You can't combine all of this together right here. Because this has an X on the end and this doesn't. It's like combining like terms, right? Do you add your X's together? That's a bad case for all of your X to be with a non-X, right? You see what I'm saying? You don't want one of your X's with someone who's not an X. So you don't add these together. So here are your 3 cases. You do that one first. Box it. Box it. Do that one first. Then you're going to do this section right here. And then your third section is this right here. So you have to do it in 3 parts. It's just you have to be super, super careful. Okay? So what's 1.9 squared? 3.61? Okay. Now do the second box. Plug this in your calculator. 1.3 squared plus 2.1 squared. 6.1. Now combine all of this. Don't plug in cosine to your calculator. Just do -2 times that times that. Guys, the whole point of this is for you to be typing it in your calculator to see if you can do it right. Okay, so we're supposed to be doing this all together. Come on, Cordell. What'd you get? Negative what? Did somebody else get this too? Okay, so from here you're just solving an equation. You want to get x by itself. So before we move this, we need to do PEMDAS, which tells us to parentheses, exponent, multiply, divide, add, subtract. But we actually want to subtract this first, right? Because now we're still doing this in sections. The 6.1 is positive. So what's the opposite of positive? Negative. So you want to subtract 6.1. This cancels. So somebody tell me what 3.61 minus 6.1 is. Cardell.
Yeah.
What is that?
Negative 2.49.
Negative 2.49 equals negative 5.46 cosine of x. Now you have to split this. Those are together by multiplication. So that means I have to divide. Okay. So once you divide this, what are you going to have to do to your cosine? Take the what? You have to take the inverse because you have to break cosine and x. So here's my advice. Type all of this in your calculator. Negative 2.49 divided by negative 5.46. Answer. My air's not working. I'm not doing much work, so you shouldn't be sweating. Okay, is that what your answer is? Now, to get your final answer, you have to take the inverse of this. You have to take the inverse. So, second cosine, second answer. That's your final answer. $62.9. That's your final answer. Okay? It's not hard. You just have to do it in very small steps and be super, super careful. Okay. Let's do 6. Circle your angle. So what does x go with?
8.
Goes with 8. So those two have to be on the outside, right? So in your formula, a squared is going to be what? What's a going to be? 8. You were right. Good. This is your a, and then the other two don't matter. So you'll have 8 squared equals 3 squared plus 6 squared. Let's go, Carson. Minus 2 times 3 times 6. Cosine of what? X.